is going to hold it down. We are live right now. Nick is in the building. Kimberly's in the building. Kimberly, Nick, how are you guys doing today? You guys feeling good?
Doing awesome. Doing awesome.
Awesome. Good. I'm feeling really good. Oftentimes people are asking me when these episodes are over, Derek, where's Pace? I'm like, I told you where Pace was during the episode. So that I might not be harassed. I love being harassed, by the way, by the community. Pace is actually in the building right now as we speak. In fact, I don't have it next to me, but prior to this episode happening, Kimberly, Nick, I walked over. My director was sitting near me, and he had this plate with this beautiful carne asada burrito just sitting there looking at me, like saying, "Take me." Okay, this is happening to me, right? So then I was like, Scott, where'd you get that burrito? Like, that's very rude. We're in the middle of the
right.
Like, I'm starving. Okay, I'm starving, everyone. And all of a sudden, he's like, "Oh, they're in the room." I'm like, where Pace is holding court and changing people's lives. You want me to walk in there? I get that I have broad shoulders, but you want me to walk in there while Pace is talking? He's like, just go. I'm like, oh God. I look at my watch. I'm like, okay, Nick's gonna be on, Kimberly's gonna be on. Let me run in here and see if I can get a burrito. He's like, wait, hold on, Derek, are you gonna eat the burrito? I'm like, no, I just want to have the burrito. So I go in. I walk in the room literally just before I jumped on. I walk into the room. I'm like, oh God, I hear Pace. He's doing his thing. I mean, literally right around the corner from here, right? And I walk in, and I'm like, if I don't make eye contact with Pace, I'll make it to the back of the room. Right? If I look at him, it's over.
Your reasoning.
I'm like, don't make eye contact with Pace. So I walk in, and you hear him. He's talking, and you know how someone's speaking, and then they turn their head, and they're still speaking, so they're a little louder in your ear. I'm like, I'm not gonna look at you, man. So I walk to the back of the room. I grab a burrito, and I'm like, wait. Which one is chicken? Which one is carne asada? Oh my God, it was a whole ordeal. I got my burrito. I escaped out the back, ran out. I'm like, okay, I got to jump on. I survived. After this episode, I'm going to have this wonderful burrito. For those of you who are in the chat listening to my rant, okay?
You guys are about getting a burrito.
It was worth it, though, right? The sneaking in for the burrito.
Oh, man, it was great.
It's burrito. Hello. And you can have it while you're backstage.
Exactly. That's what I'm going to do. But what's more important, Nick, oh my God, Nick, we're so happy to have you on today, brother. To hear everything you're doing. Yeah, it's going to be great. And by the way, our amazing host, Miss Kimberly, she is going to crush it. Kimberly, it's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure.
Oh, always a pleasure. You always boost me up. Thank you. My favorite day of the week is Tuesday.
Awesome. I'm going to jump in the back. You guys do your thing. If you need anything, you know where I'm at.
Awesome. Well, hi, guys. Welcome to the Live at 5. I'm Kimberly, and I am your host. And today I have the pleasure with speaking of Nick, a little bit about myself. I have two sides. My real estate side, I close on single family homes. I private money lend and private money partner, and I consult on various things. And on my nursepreneur side, I am a nurse by trade, 22 years, 32 in healthcare. I'm also a CPR instructor, a coach, an author, a podcast host, a keynote speaker, and I have a ministry here in Southwest Michigan. And today I have the pleasure, we were supposed to have two people. One person canceled, but Nick is going to just fill it up, right? Tell us all the juicy gems.
I'll do my best, Kimberly. Holy crap, that's a long list of things that you got behind your name.
Oh, you know what? Real estate is my bread and butter, but I can like when I want to teach CPR, I can just like put stuff on hold. That's the beauty of not having a W-2, because depending on what kind of project I'm doing, or if I'm consulting on a bigger project, I can put hold on other things. And so actually my second story just was published too. So I do a lot of things outside of real estate, but my love is all things real estate. Let's be clear, we can make so much money in real estate too. And that's what we're here to talk about, is your deal. But first, tell us a little bit about yourself, Nick, where you're from, what you were doing before you got into this crazy, cool, creative community. Just like a little Cliff Note version of yourself and where you're from and all the good gems.
Sounds good. Yeah. So I'm Canadian, but I do all my deals in the US.
Oh, cool.
So kind of learn how to figure out the business down there. And I like the US real estate market a lot more than the Canadian one.
Why? Why so? Let's start there.
Well, I'm from Victoria, BC.
No, really?
It's beautiful. You probably
I've been. Yes. So yeah. I was supposed to do my first half Ironman in Victoria, and I had
Really?
emergency appendectomy, but I went anyway. And that is such an amazing area. Burchett Gardens. Oh,
Yeah. Butchart
wow.
Gardens, yeah.
Yeah. Good
It's
one.
beautiful for sure.
It
It's
is.
beautiful.
It
It's not
is. So
very
you'd
business
rather
friendly.
do it over here than over there. So I want to hear
Well,
the meat behind this.
it's not very business friendly. The average house
Okay.
here is about 1.2 million.
Oh, okay.
So that makes it prohibitive for a lot of people, especially when you're starting out.
Mm-hmm.
And I would rather do, if I'm doing flips, I would rather do a $200,000 flip, make maybe 40,000 or something like that. And if we lose, we don't lose that big,
Mm-hmm.
than putting up $1 million to do a flip here. And
Okay.
having to take forever and waiting 6 months to a year for permits and all that kind of crap.
Oh, wow. Is
difficult to
that
work in the
how?
city, and yeah.
Wow, that long for permits? So you're not kidding when you say there's nuances. Wow. So like
Mhm.
that's just the norm. That's not because of where you're. Is that like that in all of Canada or just in Victoria?
No, I mean Canada is a big country, but Victoria especially is really terrible for it.
Okay.
Like it's not uncommon to wait a year to get a permit to do something.
Wow.
So
Okay.
to,
Wow.
to me, that is, especially if you have $1 million out there,
Mm-hmm.
wherever you're getting your financing from, you're paying a lot of money just to hold it there while you're
Yeah.
waiting.
Right.
I don't want to deal with that. I like doing flips in North Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, where you
Okay.
can get permits really quickly.
Okay.
And you feel like you have the government sort of on your side anyway. They're not out to get
Keyword,
you.
sorta.
Sort of, yes. Comparatively, they're on your side. But
Mm-hmm.
here they're completely against you. So I don't mess with anything here anymore. I don't even want to think about it. So that's why I invest and wholesale and flip in the States.
Okay, so you wholesale, you fix and flip, and you're in the markets in Tennessee, Texas, and North Carolina. Do you do anything else besides the fix and flips? Do you hold any of them, or do you just sell them and do you have a W-2? Do you do this full time?
I do this full time. I have 3 rentals,
Okay.
and then 90% of what I do is wholesaling.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just started flipping. So we just finished our first one, and got that one sold. And then the second one, we just finished renovation, and then it's looking like I'm getting my third one under contract this week. Well, hopefully we'll see how that goes.
Congratulations. You've already said it. It's out there.
Yeah, I made a good offer to a wholesaler, and I mean I offered full price. So I mean it's just a matter of getting that thing done.
Mm-hmm. Sure. And now what state is that going to be in?
North Carolina.
Okay. What part of North Carolina?
Fayetteville, so they just missed the hurricane.
Mm,
So there's flooding in the town, but nothing really major like you saw in Asheville or
yeah.
more west part of the state.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So what were you doing before you came into Subto, and how did you find this awesome creative community?
So before Subto, I was in college down in Texas, so that's kind of how I got my start down there.
Mm-hmm.
And I played baseball down there, and I
Okay.
kind of dabbled in real estate a little bit during COVID. Like I had a
Mm-hmm.
few months where we didn't have school, I didn't have baseball, so I started, and then that's when I bought my first house and did a couple wholesale deals. But then after that, didn't do anything. Moved back to Canada, worked in construction for my dad, started my own construction thing on the side with a partner. Got out of that. I knew I wanted to get back into real estate, so I got my license up here because I didn't want to invest. But I thought if I'm selling houses that are this expensive, I could make some money doing that.
Sure.
Did that for 10 months, and I felt like I kind of gave it my all, and I did all right. I sold some properties, helped people buy houses and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But I did that for 10 months, and then I decided this is ridiculous. I'm working a lot of hours and not
Mm-hmm.
actually making that much money.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of hated it, to be honest. So got out of that, decided I was going to move back down to the States. And I didn't know how I was going to get my visa or anything, but I knew I had a year. I could stay for 6 months on a visitor visa, and then I could extend that another 6 months. So I just said I'll give myself a year to sort of figure it out back down there. So I moved back down to Texas, lived in one side of a duplex that I owned down there, and started wholesaling. And that's when I joined Subto. And and I guess I joined because I saw PACE everywhere. That must have been the reason. And then I decided to join, and since I joined, that was about 13, 14 months ago. Since I've joined, I've done like 20 deals, which was my goal at the beginning. When I first posted in the Subto group, my first year I want to do 20 deals, and I'm going to close on my 22nd deal in a couple of weeks.
Yay, congratulations. So are you in then Texas now currently?
No, I had to come back because my year ran out.
Oh, bummer.
I'm in the process of getting the visa. So
okay.
I should be able to move back in the next couple of months.
How long does that typically take, the process? Is it a lengthy process with lots of red tape being Canada to the US, or?
There's lots of different ways to do it. It depends on what visa you want to get.
Okay.
I didn't really qualify for any of the typical visas. Like if you have a good degree, or like you're a doctor or something like that, or a lawyer, you can get visas that way.
Okay.
Or you can work for a company and they can sponsor you and get a visa doing it like that. But I didn't really qualify for anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to get the E2 visa, which is like an entrepreneurial business type visa. You get it through your business. It's very unconventional for a real estate investor to get that.
Oh.
But there's ways you can do it, and there's a law firm out of Florida that kind of specializes in that. Lauren Cohen is the attorney, and this is like her thing, getting real estate investors visas.
Cool. Wow, that's a whole niche. That's like a whole niche there. Like,
oh my God. Yeah. It's expensive, but I think it's worth it. Yeah, I mean, she can kind of charge whatever she wants because she's the only one doing it that I know of.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But that's essentially where I'm at now. Yeah.
Okay. And how old are you, may I ask? Is that rude nowadays? I don't even know. I'm a nurse by trade, so I'm so used to asking.
No, it's not. I don't see why I'd be rude. I'm 26.
Okay. So
people tell me I look younger, but yeah, I'm 26.
Yeah, you do look a lot younger. So then you were a realtor, and were you a general contractor, or were you just did like handyman work? Because you've worn a lot of hats so far, like in your early 20s.
I know. I tried a lot of things, and
that's awesome.
I think it was really good that I did that, because I got a taste of a few different things. Like now I can talk to contractors down in the States where I'm doing flips, and I know what I'm talking about, which goes a long way with them.
It does.
So they don't take advantage of you. And you can kind of keep them on track, because they're going to do that. When I did my first house in Texas when I was like 21, and I got that renovated, and the contractor totally took advantage of me because I had no idea what I was talking about. But I mean, that's my fault. I probably should have learned what I was talking about. But so that helps. You have a little piece of that. My dad's been in construction for forever, so I was working in his company, and then on the side, me and my friend were just doing like handyman work, basically flooring, some drywall, painting, minor framing.
Okay.
And then yeah, after I was done with that, went into being an agent, and yeah.
Very cool. I mean, that's a lot of different roles to give you that edge up when you actually when you actually got into real estate investing. That's awesome. Kudos to you. And you're only 26 years old. So what were you actually going to college for? And are you going to finish that degree? Or are you just like, I'm done?
I did finish the degree. I got a degree in finance.
Okay.
And will never use it ever, and I don't remember anything I learned. So,
well, at least you're honest. So you wouldn't none of those gems would be applicable to say like private money lending or private money partnering, or it's just you can't.
Yeah, it would have been maybe if I was in like Harvard finance or something, but no. In this, I mean, most schools, I don't think you really learn a whole lot. Like I learned way more about finance from YouTube videos and books than I ever did from my degree.
Isn't that something? And I always kind of wondered what the basic finance bro education was like. And so it's just filled with a bunch of prerequisites then, English, history, and like filler classes. Like,
I mean, you do the accounting courses and the actual finance courses and whatnot, but I remember doing business classes, and the teacher had never run a business before. I mean, her only qualifications were that she worked for a business.
what?
And it just didn't, yeah, it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And I just, yeah, I kind of just decided probably my junior year that it was a waste of my time. So I just got by. I just did what I needed to stay on the baseball team essentially and pass.
Wow.
And yeah, I don't know. I mean, I probably could have gotten more out of it if I applied myself more, obviously.
You were over it already. That's very interesting that was a prerequisite to teach something so important, right? Like, that's just like, would you ever want a nurse that's like only looked at a video to start your IV for the first time, or like...
Yeah, exactly. I know. And so
Wow.
that put a bad taste in my mouth. So I just
Yeah.
my dad always says like it was worth it, and I learned stuff I don't remember learning, and like it helped me grow as a person. And he's probably somewhat right, but
Yeah, I'm sure there was lessons along the way. It's just, it's a funny concept to hear that. Could you imagine like PACE being like, well, I've studied Subto, but I've never done one, but here I'm going to teach this concept and you're going to pay for it. Like,
exactly. I know.
Wow.
There's so much free content, and I mean, you can learn everything you need to really on YouTube and through books, and just through meeting people that have done what you want to do. And you can pick what you want. Like, that's a big reason why I joined Subto, is because that's where the people were doing the things that I wanted to do. And obviously, I mean, PACE is at level 10,000, but then you get into Subto and there's people at level 150, like a couple levels ahead of me. And then that helps you level up, because sometimes it can be difficult learning from somebody who's at the absolute peak.
Sure.
But you can learn from people who are a year ahead of you. And I've met a ton of people in Subto that are like that, like around my age, and they've been doing this for maybe a couple of years, and they're a few steps ahead of me. And then they can help me get to where they are, because they just went through what I'm about to go through.
I love that analogy too. And it's so true, because what applies to PACE doesn't apply to me. Like, as much as I would love to clone myself, I don't have money to just go throw staff to go cook my kids chicken nuggets and macaroni and cheese, or take my kids to school. Right. So
yeah, exactly. So you need the groups. And I never really, before I joined, I never really thought that a community was a big deal. And since joining, I can't imagine not having it. Just because if I need anything, like when I started doing the flips, or I had some sort of real estate deal and I didn't know something, I could post in the group, and every time somebody would reach out with the answer.
Every time, or bumping in, or commenting that they know somebody that knows somebody, that kind of, I love that.
Yeah, exactly. So that's super important to have. And then, I mean, you can learn things in the courses and Subto and stuff, but really it's about the community.
Right. Yeah, agree. So you were just like on your YouTube University one day and ran across PACE and was like, I think this sounds like a great idea, especially with your background. And then poof, a year later, you're 22 deals in and ready to close your 23rd. And I love how you house hack too in Texas. That was brilliant with the duplex. And then what did you, was that creative, or did you do like a DSCR? Can you use a DSCR? I guess you can, as long as if the other one's rented out, I wonder.
Well, so the properties that I have now, one of them I bought Subto, but when I had like the 6-month period during COVID, when I had nothing to do and I started in real estate, I really just jumped in, and I did 3 wholesale deals, but I bought 3 rental properties.
Oh, cool.
Not the Subto one. I had another one that I sold, and that I bought the duplex, and I bought that with cash. Just raised the money from my dad. After
your dad, love it.
Took a lot of convincing, but I had to find like an unbelievable deal for him to say yes on it. But I bought the duplex for $56,000. It needed $28,000 in work, and
that's
it appraised
cheap. Wow.
It appraised for like $140 afterwards. So then I just refied. Yeah, did the BRRRR. Yeah.
What part of Texas is that, and getting duplexes for under 60G?
San Angelo, Texas.
Where's that at?
It's
in
technically West Texas. It's about 3 hours west of Austin.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah,
Mhm.
some things are super cheap down there because when you're talking about that amount of money, it was probably mostly like cosmetic too. It wasn't even like anything thick, right? Like floors, paint, knobs, and
Well, I mean,
toilets.
I had to get it rewired because it was knob and tube, built in 1930.
Oh,
But
wow.
I had the seller do that prior to closing.
Oh, good for you. What's a knob and tube? What is that?
It's
Educate me
really,
on that.
really old wiring. It's fairly dangerous. A lot of insurance companies don't they don't insure properties that are knob and tube because it can catch fire a lot.
How do you know that it's a knob and tube? Like,
My dad probably told me.
yeah.
I had no idea. I was 20. I was an idiot. So my dad, yeah.
Well, hardly because you're here and you were doing epic stuff. You maybe felt like that, but definitely were not.
I
Yeah.
did not know what I was doing really enough to probably be doing those renovations and whatnot, but I took action enough to find the opportunities to get a good deal.
Sure.
And because I didn't know enough, I had to get that thing for 56,000. I wouldn't be buying it for 100,000. Nobody's going to give me money for that. But because I could buy it, turn around and sell it for $100,000 the next day without doing anything,
That's awesome.
it reduces a lot of risk. So
Yeah.
that's why the deal is the most important part. Most important part. If you have a really, really good deal, you can put everything else together, and it reduces your risk for your lenders and for you by so much, right?
Yeah. Agreed. Yep. That's awesome. Very, very cool. So tell us about this deal that got you on here. Tell us like how you found it, if there was anybody involved in the community, and just give us a little backdrop on that.
Yeah, this one, I really like this one because it was brought to me by somebody I knew from San Angelo in that town, and he had no idea about Subject 2, but he knew that I did Subject 2. Because when I joined the community, I started learning it and doing a lot of deals. Once I moved back to San Angelo, I started going to the meetups there, and I was the one guy at the meetups that understood creative financing.
That one guy. I love it. So obviously
Yeah.
it wasn't like a Subto kind of group. It was just like a local real estate. Okay,
Yep.
cool. Nice.
Yeah, there's one other guy in San Angelo that I know, Alex Salazar, and he's a pretty big member in Subto, but he wasn't going to these groups, so I was the one guy. So I told people that's what I did, and then one of the people that was at the meetup, he's a flipper. He remembered that I did that. He came across a lead that didn't work for him as a flip, but it didn't work for him because it was low equity. But it had a good interest rate, and he remembered me, so he called me and asked if I could do something with it, and then that's how I got the lead.
Very cool. All right, you were that one memorable guy. Are these big meetups? Are they smaller?
No, pretty small. There's maybe like 10 people, 12 people.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I mean, that's not bad. Sometimes it's just one person, right? Like you don't know where your next lender, your next partner is. It literally could be just 5 people, and then you can close on 5 deals in 5 months. You never know, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it just takes that one. And I mean, I don't know. I like going and talking to. I would rather have a smaller meetup like that than like I did go to Squat Up, and you said you were there too.
Yeah.
In Orlando. That was a couple thousand people, and that was awesome. But if you're in a smaller meetup, like maybe 10 or 20 people, you can talk to all the people. It's a little bit more intimate, you know?
Agreed. Yeah. And so what is this person's thought process now that, and then tell us a little bit about the deal. What did you say that you wholesaled it or?
Yeah. So his max is San Angelo, so it's cheaper properties. His max allowable offer was 65 or 70,000, something like that. But she owed 74. So it didn't make sense. She couldn't cut a check to sell the property, which most sellers can't. So I got on the phone with her and said, hey, I do things a little bit differently. I can actually pay more for your property than Shane can. Shane was the flipper because I'm actually able to take over the payments on your mortgage, which means I don't have to come up with I don't have to put my cash up. So I'm happy paying more. So essentially what we're going to do is I'll take over the payments on your mortgage. We leave that in place. I'll cover all the closing costs. You don't have to bring any money to closing. We can get this closed in 3 weeks. and like, does that sound good? And she was like, oh my God, yeah, that sounds great. Let's do that. And I said this on the podcast yesterday, but she almost said yes too soon, before she even like knew everything. And I knew that if I just said, okay, perfect, here's the contract, let's sign it,
Mm-hmm.
she would go to bed that night thinking, what did I just sign myself up for?
Mm-hmm.
You know, what I should have asked this question, what's the risks? And like, cause she didn't know. So I wanted to make sure we took the time to go over that. So I took another 5 or 10 minutes to be like, okay, well, sounds great, but here's how it actually works. You know, do you have any questions about that? Let's go through the process. Let's go through the risks, you know, and then this is how we mitigate those risks. Does that still make sense for you? And it did. So we got it signed.
And what was her pain point? Like, why did she want to bounce? And where was this property at? Did you say it was in just outside of the one city in Texas?
Yeah, it's in San Angelo, Texas.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't do many deals in San Angelo, but just this one happened to be there.
Okay.
But yeah, it's in San Angelo, Texas. The mortgage had a 3.625% interest rate on it.
Mm-hmm.
PITI was like 585, like ridiculous.
Nice. Wow.
And it'll rent out for $950, $1,000. So you have some gross cash flow there, and it'll likely net cash flow. It needed a little bit of work, but maybe like 5,000-10,000 max.
Okay.
And her pain point was she lived in San Antonio, a couple hours away, didn't want to deal with the property. It had been vacant for a while, and she just didn't want to keep paying on it, even though it was a low payment. It was just sitting there.
Sure. Yeah. And not everyone wants to be like landlords. They just don't, right? They don't want to like mess with the toilets, tenants, and trash. I just saw a crazy meme video like of a whole entire basement with nothing but pooey water because like it backed up and the tenant didn't think it was like a good idea to like let the landlord know. I'm like, oh, could you imagine? I was like, there goes the war chest, right?
I know. And a lot of people don't even think about having a war chest.
Yeah, it's important, right? Yeah, one big repair can definitely like take away all of your profit. That's why I like a good old land contract or bond for deed or executory contract, depending on where you're at, is what they call them, because at least they hold equitable interest. And if something goes wrong, not my problem, you know. But
right. I know. I've never done one of those, but I would like to.
They're great. I love them.
That's what I've heard. As long as you can find a buyer for it.
Yeah, and in Michigan, they're just really big. People understand them and they love them. They're like, if you see land contract, people perk up. Like they actually like seek them out on Craigslist. I sold my friend's house on a land contract in like November. It was a failed listing. She had it listed for almost a year. Sold it on a land contract, I think less than 4 weeks. And had a really decent assignment fee on top of it. Yeah. So again, just knowing what the person's pain point and how you can help them progress forward to whatever their goals are. Right. So.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It doesn't really matter where you're getting your leads from. Like I do failed listings and then on market low equity listings and then I do Facebook ads and everything. But a lot of the time when you get a lead come in or you're calling on a lead, it's a lot about just figuring out what their situation is and if you can help them, but not just talking about the property. So that's all I do when I get a lead that comes in. Say, hey, okay, tell me about what you got going on. I think that's like an RJ Bates line, but then it's just open. They can take it wherever they want. And a lot of times if they are motivated, they say, well, I have this property, I got this going on, I need to get it sold for this reason, or my daughter is being crazy and she lives there and she's destroying it, whatever. And then that's where you can figure out, if the deal works or not.
Yeah, agreed. And a lot of things just like kind of organically happen and just fall in your lap too. Like I met a wholesaler, a newer one. He's not new, but new to me. And they thought it was Texas, but the guy was like, well, no, I don't have any Texas properties, but I have a duplex here in Michigan. And so the guy's like, well, I don't know the market. I'm like, well, it's right next it's the next town over. Do you want me to go and check it out? And sure enough. And so we're wholesaling it to a friend, she's a personal friend of mine. So yeah. Sometimes it just happens like that. And it's opened up a whole door of opportunity, for me and Tim also to work on some other things. And that's the greatness of this community. And that's the next question I'm going to ask is, how has this community impacted you in your life?
Well, since I got in Subto, I would say my life changed quite a bit. When I moved down to Texas, I decided I was going to go full time in real estate. I think I had $3,000 in my account and I owed $4,000 on credit cards. So that wasn't great. And then and I felt like I was doing well and being a real estate agent, but then after you pay your fees and your dues and whatnot, I didn't make much. Just and then rent in Victoria is pretty high,
I'm sure.
Since then, doing a bunch of wholesale deals, I've changed my financial abilities, I guess, quite a lot. And now I'm a lot more comfortable than I was back then. And then I've met some unbelievable people. I have really good friends in the group. And I have a couple of people calling for me now that are getting deals themselves, and we're splitting them. And I think if I never joined the community, I would be probably 4 or 5 steps behind where I am now. Probably would have gotten to where I am, but it would have taken me 2 years instead of 1 year.
Yeah.
It's changed my life quite a lot.
And are you working with the one guy that you kind of pitched Subto with? And did you guys like split it, or do you guys did you work on a referral fee, or how did that work?
To bring that deal full circle. So we ended up, I had a $0 entry fee negotiated with the seller. So it was just our assignment fee. I asked $12,500 because I knew it needed $5,000 to $10,000 in work, and that's a pretty reasonable fee, I thought. We got it assigned. I made half, he made half. So he made $6,200 from just sending me a lead he thought was dead. So he was super excited about it. And then he called me.
Who wouldn't be? That's some good spread, man, for meeting some dude named Nick from, BC and bringing in something. What is this Subto thing? And so has he studied it now and feeling more, or is he still bringing you stuff? Because that's awesome when people just bring you stuff. That happens to me too. People are in my inbox like, I heard you're a problem solver, or you are well connected. I'm like, yeah, sure. And then again, these are the kind of things that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. He's brought me a few more leads since then. We haven't gotten any more deals, but I'm sure we will. And I've had, that's one of the biggest things that I've seen in Subto, because I actually post about what I'm doing, and a lot of the deals that I've done, I've posted in there. Or I'll post things like I posted a recording of a chat that I had with an agent that was just, the agent thought he was calling his seller to tell his seller about me when I just had the conversation with him. And he started off the conversation by saying like, all right, so let me tell you about these guys. These guys are bottom feeders. They don't have your best interest in mind. They're just going to buy the property. And I was like, hey, I think he called the wrong guy. And
I would have let him keep spinning his wheels.
I let him go for a bit. And then backtrack from there and got him to actually kind of propose the deal. And I'm still following up with those people. But
wow, you made quite an impression then. If they're still they're willing to go from bottom feeders to doing business with you, that's impressive.
Yeah, well, you gotta, that's, if you're calling on the on-market low equity list, or you're dealing with low equity agents, they've been called a lot of times by Subto people.
Sure.
So it's all about separating yourself, I guess, from the other people calling and overcoming those objections that they have. So there's ways to do that. But I posted that in Subto, and it got like a lot of comments and, people talking and whatnot. And I've just been doing that. And from those, people reach out and they're like, hey, I saw you're doing deals. Can you help me with this one? Or I have a deal over here. Or I'll get like Gator lending opportunities from that. So I've done a few of those and other lending opportunities. And
cool.
And they just start to come to you when you start posting in there, because the group is so active. Right. Yeah. And then if you post enough, you become like a top contributor. And then people, if you get that little badge, people think you're like somebody special. You're a
I mean,
top
you are,
contributor.
Nick. Everyone's special in our Subto community.
Yeah. All
Even in the
14,000.
free group. No.
Yeah, there's 150,000 special people in there.
Wow, is that what the group is up to now? Is 150?
Group, yeah.
Wowzers, that's a lot. That's
I mean,
super
Subto's
cool.
at 14,000, 15,000.
Wow, it's a whole movement. It's crazy. Yeah.
I know there's just so many people in there. A lot of people, a lot of people that are new will actually reach out to people in Subto. I feel like they're not really too afraid to do that. So I get a lot of people that message me. And yeah, I love talking to those people. And I've done a couple of JV deals now, which I don't ever set out to do, but when those come, it's awesome.
Yeah, very cool. So what are your next steps? What's in the works for Mr. Nick?
Well, once I get my visa, I want to move back down to Texas, and I want to open an office down there and bring the people in my very small company together in an office instead of just doing it over Zooms. Like Zooms are great and stuff, but I want to be in person.
Agreed. I love in person so much better too.
It's a lot easier to create a culture doing it that way. And then I'm going to focus on the wholesaling and flipping side of things. I thought I wanted to buy a lot more rentals, but I'm not going to mess with rentals until my wholesaling and flipping business is like turning really, really well. Because I mean, the 3 rentals I have now, even though the numbers look really good on them, like I bought them really cheaply, my payments aren't very high, the rents are increasing. I don't take any cash flow from them. Okay. Because I just leave it all in one account because things happen, taxes in Texas go up, and I need to put a new roof on or whatever. So I'm not very interested in buying another property that maybe makes me $150 a month. So maybe I'll do co-living at some point, but right now I'm focused on wholesaling and flipping and getting good cash coming in. And I want to build more of a business out of it. I'm quite in the operations right now, and we're at about 3 or 4 deals a month right now, and I want to take that, probably double that.
Awesome. So when you say wholesaling, are you wholesaling nationwide or just in the like the Texas, the North Carolina, Tennessee, or are you concentrating on the flips in those areas because you have teams and stuff?
Yeah, I only do flips in North Carolina right now, and I might start doing it in Texas soon, but flips in North Carolina, and then I'll wholesale Subto deals all over. I think I've probably done 10 different states now, deals in 10 different states. But honestly, I want to start concentrating a little bit more and do deals in only a couple of different markets. So then I can get to know the markets really, really well instead of doing like a random deal in Caldwell, Idaho, and one in San Angelo and one in Orlando. And then it's kind of cool to do that, I guess. But I would like to be the guy that a lead comes in and I know exactly where it is and what I need to get it at, and I know who's going to buy it, or if I flip it, I know what numbers I need to be at, and I know all the people in that town. So that's where I'm trying to get to. Yeah. Right now.
It makes it a lot easier and streamlined when you have the playbook and then you know the market so well, because as you know, like you can go from like a D neighborhood to like an A neighborhood really quick. And before it wasn't like that in the US, and now it's like that everywhere. It's crazy. Like you really need to know exactly where you're going. And then also like you can have market shifts. You can do a complete, market analysis and boom, something can happen and it can shift. So it definitely pays to have boots on the ground in your own hood, being able to be like, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. What about novations with your love of wholesaling and flipping? Is that like maybe on the docket?
Maybe. I definitely don't want to focus on it. I've never done a novation. I'm only recently getting more into doing cash deals. So out of my 22 deals, probably 17, 16 of them were Subto.
Okay.
And then I started marketing for cash deals in the last couple of months. And novations it's looking like I'm going to have to start doing that, but I would probably just JV with somebody that knows how to do that properly. I can see that in my head causing a lot of issues. and just having to deal with the seller, and now you're dealing with agents and stuff. And I don't necessarily want to focus on that, but I know that there's a place for it, right?
Yep, all based on that pain point for sure, and what the seller wants and how you can help them. Absolutely. So is there anything specific that you need in your business right now that you can shout out, because this is going to be on YouTube Universe, and so someone might see this a couple weeks down the line or a month or whatnot? Just let us know if there's anything in particular that you're looking for in your business.
I'm looking for more connections with people doing similar things to what I'm doing, especially around my age. If you're like in your 20s and you're building a wholesaling flipping business, I love talking with people like that. It's really, really interesting meeting those kind of people who are doing the same things that you're doing. And I have a couple connections like that I've met from Subto, and it's really great to connect with those people. So if you're like that, I mean, reach out to me. I'd love to chat. And then more tangibly, I guess, of course, I'm always looking for more deals, and I'm pretty good at dispoing Subto deals right now, because I've done a lot of them in the last 10, 12 months. I got a good buyers list. So if you need help on Subto deals, love to help put them together, negotiate with agents, sellers, all that kind of stuff. I basically have that script down. It's on the brain in my head right now, explaining subject to, so I can do it kind of with my, while I'm half asleep. But
love it.
Yeah.
Very awesome. And what is the best way to connect with you? Is it Instagram? Is it Facebook? Do you have a website for your wholesaling and flipping business yet? Or like, what's the best way to just, hey, I want to, chat with Nick and see what's up?
Yeah. I mean, just text me or DM me on Instagram. People can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, they can. Yep. Okay. Yep. What about Facebook message? Is that a good spot too?
Yeah, totally. Messenger, I'll try, and I have a lot of messages on Messenger right now that I need to get back to, but I'll try and get back to people really quickly.
You got back to mine in a decent time. That's why I asked.
No, I didn't. It took me like a day to get back to you.
Well, and everybody is different. Like some people don't use Facebook for business. They use it for personal or just fun stuff. And so that's why I always ask, because typically people have a preference, like I'm never on Facebook or I'm always on Instagram kind of deal. So you're variety.
Yeah. I mean, text me though. That's going to be the best way.
Okay. And there's your number listed right underneath your name.
I mean, I have a website, but unless you're like a motivated seller, I wouldn't go there.
Well, and you can always drop it out there and we can put it like in the chat too.
Okay. Yeah. freebirdoffers.com.
What is it again?
freebirdoffers.com.
I like that. freebirdoffers.com. I've heard that song a lot. And then there's his number. That free bird meme has been really, it's been,
is it?
That song, I think it's called Free Bird.
I know the song. Yes, of course I know the song.
I mean, you're 26 and you kind of relate to, I mean, I'm pushing 50, so I'm out of your age group. So I don't
fall in that. You know better than I do, apparently.
I don't fall in that algorithm, but
yeah, I gotcha.
So what would you say to somebody on the fence of joining? Like they've watched the videos, they've seen PACE on YouTube and all over the internet, but they don't want to pull the trigger. What would be your wisdom, your words of advice for them?
Yeah, I would say you can totally do it on your own without the community, but you're going to go a lot slower and you're going to make a lot more mistakes, and you're not going to have anybody holding you accountable. The amount of people that get into real estate and are excited about it and then never do anything with it or try for a month and then give up is staggering. It's got to be in the 90%, 95% of people that want to do it never do it.
Yeah.
Community is something that will push you to actually do it. Once you start getting connections in there, there's people that will push you along and hold you accountable. And I think if you're actually serious about it, you would want to join a community. Not to say you can't do it without it, but I know for myself, I get shiny object syndrome, and I want to do a million different things. And And if I don't get focused and get people around me doing similar things, then I'm all over the place. And the first couple of months I was in Subto, I met some people who are younger than me and who had $100,000 a month businesses.
Isn't that awesome?
And that really pushed me, because my goal was just to get to, I think I wanted to make like 10,000 a month or something in my first year. And then this guy was doing, Jack Lander, his name, he's in Subto, and he was doing like 10 times that, and he's younger than me. And he was just like, why are you thinking so small? And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So that pushed me and made me think differently and made me expand a lot more. And I mean, I'm very grateful for that. And I wouldn't have had that without Subto.
Yeah, the accountability piece it's just great, because then you're putting your goals out there, your intentions out there. And then I think too, it's really important to remember you can't compare your chapter to someone else's chapter, right? Because certain people have different resources and tools that are available too. So, and I feel you about the shiny object syndrome, but I feel like you can use that as a powerhouse, because sometimes you don't know what you like to, or what you want to do. Just like you thought like, oh, well, I'll go and do handiwork, or I'll be a realtor. Well, sometimes it doesn't work out, and you need to, as I say, as my tagline, pivot with purpose and figure out what you want to do. And that's okay, because you don't want to be stuck doing something that you don't want to do. Now, if you're getting all the systems and the operations and you're not giving it a shot,
no, I completely
right?
agree.
But
I completely agree. I think I think you want to try a few things, especially when you're young.
yeah,
If you don't know what you want to do, try a few things and actually give it enough time. Don't try it for a month.
right.
Give it enough time to see if you actually want to do it. But when you find something that you feel like you click with, and that's what happened with me with real estate. I'm not going to pivot out of real estate anytime soon. What I have shiny object syndrome on now is like, I'm going to go to this different list, or I'm going to do this different marketing strategy, or I'm going to do these type of deals now. And people keep me centered. But I think it's really good to try all those different things.
Absolutely.
And then pick something and then just run with that
and hammer it.
Yeah, otherwise it's probably not going to work. But and also, I mean, I do get what you're saying about don't compare yourself to other people, because we're all at different parts on the journey or whatever. But for me, and I would suspect with other like younger probably men, I kind of like doing that. I like looking at my age or younger who's killing me, and then it makes me really angry.
Motivator. Yeah. I got you. No, I agree too. I'm in competition with myself, and so I'm only competing with myself. But I've done endurance racing, and when you do triathlon, they write your name on your calf, so you always see what the age group is, but you don't know when they started. So you don't know if you're ahead of them or if they're ahead of you, but you push harder when you see that number on their leg. And that's like the number in real estate. Oh, well, he closed how many deals? Oh, yeah, I got you. And that's good, because it keeps it keeps you wanting, and just not really wanting, but you're just aiming higher because you're getting inspired. You can use that as an inspiration to fuel the fire, for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I'm definitely competing against myself too. Like I would say to myself that I'm the biggest bottleneck in my business.
Yeah.
Probably most of us are.
Yeah.
So if I can just figure out myself and get myself to do the things that I need to do, that it'll just open up my business way more.
Yeah.
But if I was only competing against myself from the beginning, I would probably still be thinking a lot smaller.
Yeah, sure. Right.
I did. Yeah.
When you're around these magical, amazing people that are doing big things, it's hard not to think like big like that. And then you get to the point where you can't even relate to some people, because you just can't, because then you're a whole different thinking arena, like, and I think that's where sometimes it can get a little hard too, is because you just are always like aiming for the next big thing. At least that's what I am. Like, okay, it's kind of like the escalation of endurance racing or nursing. Okay, I started off in med surg, and now I'm going to go to a step down, and then ICU. That's the same thing like with business. You're always like leveling up, because if not, then why bother, right? I think that's our thinking in our group. But since we're surrounded by so many people from our group, it's just kind of like what it is. And that's what I love about it.
Yes, I know. I completely agree with you. That is the biggest thing, is getting around those people that make you think different ways.
Yeah.
Because your regular friend group or whoever you hang out with most of the time, they may not be thinking that way, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Or be encouraging other things that are going to be taken away from your business or yourself or your health or your wealth. And you just can't be a part of that. And that is amazing. I just congratulate you. And I'm not even your mom, but as a mom, I'm proud speaking to you because like my kids are 15 and 16 and they're showing some entrepreneurial kind of mindsets with, the things that they're doing, and to be where you're at 26 and you're not even pushing 30. That's amazing. Congratulations. That's really cool that you were able to recognize, hey, I don't like this. Let me go try something else. A lot of people get stuck and they're okay with just being mediocre and going to their 9 to 5. And that's okay too. Like no judgment zone over here, but it's refreshing because I feel like you guys kind of get a bad rap nowadays, right? Like you just do. Like
Like us young folk.
You do. Yeah. I stick up I'm like the cool auntie. Like I have the wisdom of a grandma, but I'm cool.
I feel like you are.
But like I stick up for y'all all the time. It's because I'm like, dude, what? Like I know 50-year-olds that are still punks and still are immature and will throw, a controller at the TV if they get mad they don't win. I almost said a joystick. I almost aged myself. Throw their Atari. Yeah, but it's really, really cool to see younger kids going after it. So it'll be cool to see where you're at in a year from now. And that's my cue to wrap it up. If anybody out there has wins, feel free to email Taya, TAYA at pacemorby.com so you can be here on the Great Get Creative podcast.
Absolutely. And I agree with everything you were saying. That was funny when you almost said joystick. Because, by the way, I'm 50 years old, believe it or not. So I'm very proud. I appreciate you, man. I'm proud of being 50. I really feel good at being 50. But I concur with what Kimberly said about your generation getting a bad rap. I'm like, I'm sorry, but there's a lot of genius there and things just operate differently. Respect that. But Nick, you are truly impressive, man. That many deals at 26. I've met 50-year-olds literally that are like, okay, I just bought this Subto thing. They call it a thing. I just bought this Subto thing. What am I gonna do? I'm like, okay, well, you need to call Nick. That's what I might start telling people.
Yeah,
right, dude.
Well, one thing I'll say about it is I kind of agree that maybe our generation is not as hardworking as your generation was, but also I think it kind of gives an opportunity for other people to win, because when I look back on the last year that I had doing 22 deals, it seems like a good accomplishment, but I know that when I look back and I'm honest with myself, I didn't work nearly as hard as I should have, and I think I could have. I think that it's a lot easier to win than people are thinking. If you're just in the right space, you get in the community, you start taking generally the right steps, and you're moving in the right direction. It's a lot easier to win than I think people think. But it's getting over the first hurdle that a lot of people don't get over, which is the first 2 months where you don't get any deals and you're working really, really hard on it. But then if you can get past that and you're still around these people, you're in the right communities, you're still having the conversations and whatnot, then you can still win. But I definitely could have worked a lot harder this last year and done more deals. And
So Nick, you're 26. You said you're about to close your 23rd deal, 22nd deal.
Yeah, well, so actual numbers, I've closed 20 and I have 6 under contract right now.
Nice.
Okay. And with that said, you still believe you could have worked harder. That's the part I'm trying to get to. Like,
right.
Really, man. Oh my God, bro. So if you would have worked a little harder, whatever that is defined as, okay. How many deals do you think you would be at right now? 30, 40?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I look back on my year and I feel like I wasted a lot of time.
Okay.
And yeah, I think if you have like 4 focused hours of work every day, I mean that's enough to do plenty of deals. And I probably like some months I would have where I'd average working 10 hours, 12 hours, and then some months I would be a bit of a lazy loser. And yeah, I don't know.
He's a lazy loser.
I said this recently because it reminds me, what you're saying reminds me of this, and I'm going to butcher it, but it was said by Denzel Washington. He said this, and he said that our biggest, and I got to write this down, I got to find the video. Denzel Washington said that our biggest enemy, detriment, is not actually the challenge, but the ease that comes with so-called making it, right? Not saying that you did that, Nick, but I'm speaking to myself. In my life, when things were like really, trying, and the road was like, that's when I grinded, man, and I just focused, and right. But then, when instead of having witch crackers, and I'm having steak, and cold water instead of lukewarm water, then it's like you savoring it. You're not.
Yeah.
You don't have that dog mentality.
I can see that.
You know what I'm saying?
It's like the Bible scripture, like God wants you like hot, not lukewarm.
Yeah, you gotta stay in those trenches. That's one thing I respect. That. Yeah, consider Pace Morby. I really think about him. I mean, I know I work for the man, but truthfully, like, I've been to his house. Okay, I've hung out with Pace. I've broken bread with him, and this house. He has thousands of homes, but the one I'm talking about, this is an 11,000 square foot house. I'm going somewhere. Hear me. Listen to this. I'm at his 11,000 square foot house. Okay, there's rooms in top of rooms, under rooms, next to rooms. It's just ridiculous at his house, right? But when you watch him, he works like he's about to lose everything. It's the craziest thing to see, man. I've sat in his studio, and we did like the early Gator series, and I sat there and I'm taking notes. I'm talking about 7 to 8 hours straight. This man is standing there, Pace Morby. He's standing there and he's talking. I'm not exaggerating. The man is not sitting down. He's drinking a Celsius and he's talking to the camera. I'm sitting. I'm super comfortable, by the way, and getting tired. Taking notes. 8 hours, right? I hear his kids running around, daddy. He's like, all right, we're done. Boom, 8 hours, right? He leaves the room, goes and sits with his daughters, and coloring. He's coloring, okay? I haven't left the house yet, and then I'm about to leave. He's like, oh, you guys have a good one. And hey, Pace, what are you about to do? He's, oh, I'm about to go and jump on a 2-hour podcast.
Yeah.
Like, what? I mean, so if Pace is doing that, which I think he's an alien, which has an alien vessel we haven't seen yet, because he works on a different level. I'm just saying, like, we really have a great example to follow. I mean, I'm trying to praise him too much, but I'm just saying, I see it all day, every day, man. So Nick, stay in the trenches, brother.
And I guess what I was trying to say is, like, I was not operating like that for the last year, and I could have done a lot better. And that's all I was trying to say. But one little thing, I guess, like an example that I think speaks volumes to this is one of the guys that I have calling for me. His name's Seth, and he's been calling for maybe 2 months, but he works full-time as a teacher, and he has a side business doing construction. So the man doesn't have that much time, and he would call for me maybe an hour a day, 5 days a week, maybe. And he would miss sometimes because he's busy and he's got 3 kids. And in 2 months, he's got 5 deals under contract. 3 of them closed. The 4th one we just assigned, and then the 5th one we just put under contract this morning.
Absolute savage. Amazing.
That's amazing.
It's just focus on the right things.
Yeah.
You don't have to work 10 hours a day, but if you spend 1 hour a day doing the right thing, talking to people, making offers, it can go a long way.
That's it.
Time blocking goes a long way, and structuring and organizing your time, and like Duran says, return on time instead of return on investment.
Absolutely.
So Nick, 26. So by 30, multimillionaire. That's what I'm banking on, brother.
Yeah, but by 30, ideally I want to be worth $2 million. That's the goal, I guess.
Ooh,
making $100,000 a month. but also
circle
have
back
money
with you,
to have
Nick.
people working for you.
Hey, Nick,
What's
I like
that?
that.
I said I'm going to circle back with you.
Please do. Hold me accountable.
Oh, I will. I'm the accountability queen.
No doubt.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, hey,
Nick,
it's
this has been a
really nice
pleasure.
meeting you guys. You guys are so
You're amazing, brother.
energetic and nice to talk to. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
been a pleasure. Lots
Pleasure,
of
Nick.
fun.
Very excited about your success. We know you're going to have tons of it. And we hope that your phone and your IG messaging is blowing up. We hope it goes crazy after this. But we want to see more of you. Squad Up Summit next year, March. It's going to be big. Let's look forward to seeing you there. But again, thank you so much, Nick. And thank you so much, Kimberly, for being amazing and fabulous.
Thank you.
Yeah, this was
and
good.
I forgot
This
to
was
give
really
you a shout out. I usually always remember. Shout out to the Morby
Oh.
Media team because you guys
Oh.
are marvelous.
Yeah, I have a good team here. I work with a whole
You
lot
do.
of superheroes, and so yeah, it's
Agreed.
good. It's good. But you guys have a good one. It was awesome. I love it. You guys take care.
Appreciate you guys.
Bye.
Thank you.